Here we will have Cesar Martin and Luis Aguado from SAP Spain, and in the other room, as you see in the website, there will be a session of Alessandro Savitucci, also from SAP Spain. Thank you.
Gracias. Gracias, Antonio. Como claro, antes me has confundido, pero bueno, te has comido 10 minutos. Y de todas formas, gracias, Antonio, porque una pequeña anécdota, ya que él nos ha mencionado antes, ¿no? Antonio es el gran desconocido dentro de SAP, pero fuera de SAP le conoce todo el mundo, y me refiero a SAP como empresa. Así que una labor que empezamos a hacer hace un tiempo fue que la gente de SAP, de la empresa, sepa quién es Antonio, igual que sepa quién es David, porque claro, parece que estamos en otro mundo, ¿no? Y sin embargo Antonio está haciendo lo que SAP debería hacer por sí misma. Así que gracias. I think I should go on in English. Yeah, okay, so thank you very much. So and then let me go into first. That's a very interesting slide. This is the disclaimer.
Yeah, you know that this is an SAP presentation because
Yeah.
we put always a disclaimer.
Meaning, I have to explain that because that's important. Meaning, I'm free to say whatever I want, okay? And you are not going to take it into account for anything, okay? So I'm not responsible and I may be lying to you, okay? That's the disclaimer. So now you know, when the next time you say, oh, someone from SAP said something, yeah, but there was a disclaimer, okay? So let's keep it in mind. I was thinking that maybe we should have done a Menti like Antonio did, but anyway. So it's I was wondering if any of you has ever developed in ABAP. So please raise your hands. Not so many hands.
Very few.
Okay, very few. Okay, I also would like to know how many of you hate ABAP. Good, it's a good thing. Okay, and how many of you are familiar with these things? You know what a DIMPRO is? You know what the DIC is, the data dictionary, or what is an LAV? Cool, okay, cool. So how many of you think that ABAP is outdated? No, you think it's cool. No, it's not cool, it's ugly. Or what do you think? So, no reaction from you, okay. So how many of you in your normal life, whatever you present, you are talking to customers that develop things in ABAP? Please all raise your hand. Or have a lot of things in ABAP? Yeah, that's the thing. Well, ABAP is SAP, and ABAP has a future, okay? And let's hope that the future is good and brilliant. And also we were quite happy this morning, Luis and I, when we saw that Jürgen Müller this morning also had a little comment about ABAP. Okay, so this is what we are going to be talking today, and then let's be to the point. Okay, so what is ABAP Cloud? Okay, what the ABAP Cloud? Okay, if you think ABAP Cloud is something related to the cloud, you may think, yeah, that's correct, ABAP in the cloud. Okay. But no, we are SAP, so we try to use confusing words, okay, at every moment. So ABAP Cloud is not really cloud, okay. ABAP Cloud is a development model, okay, it's how you develop in a new ABAP that is compatible with a cloud version of ABAP, okay. So that means not necessarily you will be developing ABAP Cloud in the cloud. You will be doing that, and we will see that later, in many areas, okay? Which is, for example, something you have in BTP, Some has already presented that before, like, for example, saying that we had Kima, Cloud Foundry, and ABAP as runtimes in BTP, but also is S/4HANA, okay? And S/4HANA is on-prem software, okay? So it's running also on-prem. So ABAP Cloud does not mean cloud or running the cloud. It's a development model for ABAP to be compatible with the cloud, okay? So that's written there when it works on private cloud or even on-prem, okay? So keep that in mind, okay? Because we are going to try to describe it, okay? So you see there the extent of the scope. We have the classic ABAP development model, what we normally do, know, and work with, which is the ABAP DIMPRO, for example, or the ABAP reports, okay, or the, I don't know, extension points, okay, enhancements, these kind of things, is what you work in the classic ABAP development model, when you develop function modules, reports, okay, P&A, PBOs, these kind of things. But then we have the ABAP Cloud development model, which runs on-premise, private edition, public edition, and BTP in a standalone environment, okay? So let's move on. You know, ABAP, of course, has been evolving, okay? ABAP is not the same that we had in ERP or R3 version 3.0 20 years ago, or 24 years ago already, 23. So ABAP is something that is evolving. For example, by beginning of the 2000s, we start getting those things into ABAP, like objects, internet connectivity, okay, the data type string, which is a very important thing. It was at the time a very important thing to know that you can have strings with no limits. Okay, because before you had to define fixed length chars, okay, because before you had the string type. And it's a minor thing, looks like a minor thing, but it was a huge improvement for ABAP, for example. Okay, so we also go ABAP for Eclipse, or development tools for Eclipse. A quick question, how many of you are using ADT or ABAP for Eclipse? Yeah, well, okay, nearly all. You are very advanced technical people, so you are doing that. But if you try asking this question to your customers, you will be surprised. But even when it was released more than 10 years ago, still many customers have never heard of ADT, okay? So we are moving on. We are porting, and we have an ABAP engine that runs standalone on BTP. Okay, and then, of course, there is one conflict that arises when we want to run ABAP in the cloud, which is we have to make sure that we keep the possibilities of extending ABAP like we do in the classical ABAP environment, but which is compatible with a multi-tenant that runs in the cloud. Okay, so we must somehow create a model that protects our developments or customer developments from upgrades, okay, from the fact that it is running in parallel with other customers, okay? And this is more or less ABAP Cloud, or the reason why it exists, okay? So I think we are not going to go into the full detail, because of course the main point of ABAP in the cloud is the use of specific and somehow fixed interfaces to talk to the core, okay? We will expand on this later, okay? So, what we have here? We have Eclipse. This is our editor, our development environment in the new ABAP. It has already been there for 10 years, I know, but it is there for this reason, okay? Where you see that in the new ABAP, there are things that you can do and things you cannot do anymore. For example, you cannot just call a function module that interacts with a DIMPRO, because there is no sub-GUI anymore. So there is no way to have a DIMPRO, for example. Okay, so those things you cannot do. Also, you don't normally interact with a table in the new ABAP. You have to use the open interfaces that you have in the form of, as Antonio explained, CDS or OData, okay? And then you work through that in order to interface with the core of the system. Okay, so now I move on to, I think you can use that one, that microphone, I think.
Can I use this?
No. Or you need that one. Okay. Good.
Is it working?
Yeah. So now Luis will continue.
Okay. This section is really think for people that are used to work daily with ABAP, okay, with classical ABAP, but which has the people who has no or limited exposure to the new ABAP Cloud, which has been explained by Cesar. The idea is that many times we, SAP, comes here to the events and try to show you all the latest and greatest functionality, and sometimes for a person who are in their daily tasks is thinking, okay, how I can reach that state, because I still continue using the classical techniques. This session is about how you, as a developer, can map the classical concept that you usually work in ABAP through the new concepts in the ABAP Cloud. The first is the sub-GUI. As Cesar has explained it, we have to remove the sub-GUI, okay? The future is Fiori. What's the reason for that? Okay, it's obvious. The market, the customers, partners are asking for that. It has absolutely no sense to maintain a client in our PC when now the browser is the king in the internet area or the mobile, okay? We have to move to a new paradigm. Second is the change for us as developers. We have to definitely get rid of the sub-GUI in order to move to the Eclipse with ADT, okay? One question that I used to have is when we will be ready the Business Application Studio for coding in ABAP, okay? For you to know that we have no plans so far, okay? The idea is that we continue with Eclipse with ADT as the leading IDE for ABAP, okay? Keep it clear, there is no plans in the midterm in order to show you how to code in ABAP in the Business Application Studio. There are many advantages that you can use moving right now to the Eclipse. Why? Because even you are using with classical sub-GUI, ECC, etc., you will get the same functionalities. Okay? But when you move to the new ABAP, you will get access to new functionalities, features and functions within the IDE, and I think it's important. Okay, I think all of you clearly understand the structure of this, okay? We have seen the classical ABAP more or less in 3 layers, as always. We have first the area where we define how to interact with the end users, for instance, with these select options. Then we have an area and a section in our ABAP program where we define how to retrieve the information from the database. And finally, we have some parts that are not in the report. They are defined in the DIC, okay? Like the table, data elements, even the authority object. Let's go phase by phase, not jump to the latest ABAP Cloud in one jump, okay? Let's go first introduce the CDS. What is the CDS? It's a framework for define all our data behind that. The idea of the CDS is to simplify and reuse the usage of your underneath data models. As you see in the slide, we propose you to do in 2 layers, okay? Have one layer close to the tables that is a normalized, where you normalize your data model. And we have another layer on top that is where you can adapt the specific view for your specific needs in your app. You can denormalize, etc. Let's have a look to this in the coding. You can see here, this is the classical ABAP, okay, when you define here the select option, and basically what you do is to get the data and move to the AE loop. How you do that? Basically, what you have to do is to write directly the select statement. You as a developer have to take care of getting the filters in the selection screen and implement all of the complexity in the query. Even in this case, you have to do the join, etc. Of course, after that, very important, and you have to do manually, you have to implement the authority checks. Okay? For instance, between the select and select, or maybe after that. What is the first change we have when using the CDS? Okay, as you can see here, you define the selection screen, but quite easy. The only thing you have to do, or more or less to do, is to identify what will be the core data service that you will use, define what will be the filters to apply to it, and simply call it. Sorry. And you can call it, okay? What are the benefits for that? The main benefits here is that all of the part where you have to deal with the complexity of the select, you have embedded in the CDS. And it's much more simple for you because you can, to get the select options, you can to directly pass to the core data service, and you have to forget about how to deal with the filters, complexity, retrieve the data, the pagination, etc. Okay? Let's have a look to the CDS that is here. As I told you, we have CDS in 2 levels. The first level, sorry, this is the definition, is, yeah, this. This is how a CDS looks like. Basically, you are, with the association, you are telling the system what are the different joins with the different tables, and you can see here is more or less a normalized way of your data, where you start putting semantics. And you have on top a projection where you can, as you can see here, you can then normalize the data model, and you continue adding some semantics to the core data service. Okay, let's move. Yeah, next step is the introduction of Fiori, okay? We have realized what are the benefits by using core data services. Now we move to the SAP Fiori list report. Basically, what we do is to define the service. What is the service we can to expose to the outside, okay? We have defined our core data services. We simply have to define what is that we would like to publish. And in the service binding is, okay, for this specific service in my backend, what I will do is to expose to the outside for this specific protocol. Let me show you in the system. A service definition is only that. When you have done your core data service, you simply, in a declarative approach, you have to say, okay, this is what I will expose to the outside. Okay, in that case, I will expose everything, but you can narrow, or you can tune up this. And simply, with a matter of clicks, creating a new service binding, you simply say, okay, this service I would like to expose in this specific protocol. But the idea is that you are separating all of your logic, all your backend logic of how it's the protocol you are exposing your service to the outside. Okay, today is OData version 2, tomorrow is version 4, tomorrow could be a different client using a different protocol. Okay. There is one important thing here is, before Fiori, yes, we have the advantages of the core data services, but we continue having to handle all of the select auction, the filters, and pass to the core data services. That means that if you think, we are dealing in the code with something that is pretty much close to the to your data model, to something that you have already defined in your core data services. Like I will use this column for filter this, I will use this, data element for filtering or its accuracy, etc. What is the proposal with the new ABAP Cloud is that all of this you can do by adding semantics, adding metadata directly to the core data services. The idea is that you move from a code-driven architecture to a model-driven architecture, where you will module all of your core data services, including all of the semantics, directly in a declarative approach. For instance, here we can see in this metadata extension, when basically what we are doing is to identify what type of things we would like to see in the final presentation. But we are doing in like an agnostic manner, okay? Of course, it will be automatically populated by using Fiori, but if tomorrow you are using a different client, not Fiori, not SAP UI, maybe mobile services, maybe you would like to use Business Application Service, Business Application Studio in order to create a Fiori application. All of this metadata will be populated. What that means? It means that you will be, how to say, it's like you are saving all of your current investment in your backend. Because what we are doing is that you can change, we can evolve with the UI technology independently from the backend. And this is one thing very powerful from the core data service. And finally, to close this section, because until now I have focused only into how to retrieve the data from the database, from our model. But we are here in order to build transactional applications. Okay, we have to not only to read the data, we have to interact, to modify, to implement transactional application. In the left side, in the classical ABAP, what we do is purely in the code, but as you know, we have moved to a model-driven architecture. I will say that now we are moving to a one model-driven architecture, because even the actions that we would like to implement will be in the core data services. As you can see, there is two new components, that is the behavior definition, where you specify what are the different actions that are supported by your core data services. Of course, the implementation of these actions will be by using directly ABAP. And it's important to mention that in this ABAP, what we have released for you is the entity manipulation language. That is a new way, SQL-like, where you can directly interact with these core data services more in a business-like manner, in order that you can apply those actions to the data model in a more business-oriented. Let me show you first. What we do is that we, in a declarative manner, we say, okay, this is a behavior definition, where we say, okay, for this specific core data services, we will implement this type of actions, like abstract travel or direct travel. Yeah, and we can navigate directly to the ABAP implementation that will be. At the end, what we do with ABAP Cloud is that we provide you a framework where there will be specific hooks where the framework we will call to your ABAP system in order to then implement your desired behavior. And as a summary, only to say that, yes, it's very important, it's model-driven architecture. The core data services is like the key component of this architecture. It will help you to really focus on your domain, on the business, instead of spending the time in order to deal with the complexity of the queries, in the complexity of retrieval the data. You will be focused more in what are the business requirements for your business, by focusing on what are the relevant information, that you have to deal with, and what are the relevant business logic that your company is asking to you.
Okay. Thank you, Luis. I hope it was clear, okay, but that was a little example. Just to finish, and then I will go directly, well, yeah, we have 2 slides. So you see that in practical terms what that means, because the point is, and we talk a lot about the concept of extensibility, okay? So here is how you do it, okay? ABAP Cloud is a development model that must be used, and SAP wants it to be used all across the whole infrastructure. So that includes S4, includes on-prem, okay, and includes BTP. And of course, the point is to do this in a consistent manner, okay, and combined. So we have to keep in mind that we are going to be using only the SAP-provided public interfaces, okay? And then from that, we are free to do any kind of development, okay? We are not mentioning today things like going this line, for example, and this is the main differentiation you must keep in mind, which is the concept of on-stack, okay, and side-by-side, okay? So, of course, there are concepts we have not been able to see here today, which is this on-stack extensibility, or things that you do close to where the business is running, which in the on-prem world means S4 on-prem, and in the cloud world means S4 HANA public cloud. And also, you have to understand and the concept of side-by-side extensibility. And this is something you will also be focusing a lot on. You are going to be doing that, you are already doing that whenever you work with BTP and develop Node or develop Java in order to create applications that work together closely with the ERP or S4 HANA public cloud. Also, this concept of side-by-side extensibility could be done in ABAP Cloud. Okay, so you will be doing ABAP with ABAP. Okay, so keeping the tradition of SAP and having full control of how you use a customer system and how you extend it. Okay. Very important thing. This is a statement for one of the lead developers of ABAP in SAP. Okay, and point is you have to keep in mind ABAP Cloud is the new ABAP. It will be across all ABAP solutions, which means it will be on-prem, it will be in the cloud, okay, and it's the core of the business applications in SAP. So the hope from SAP here is, of course, we are going to continue developing ABAP. Of course, many business applications will be developed in ABAP, okay? They will be developed in ABAP Cloud, which is the new development model. So it's not only that we keep a language, ABAP, that it's also that we evolve it and have transformed it in a thing that it is compatible with multi-tenant deployment and cloud deployment in general. So that was the message. I think there is hope, okay, because I think ABAP, the specific differentiator of SAP, okay, and the thing that has created and put SAP where it is today. So this is it. If there are questions, they are welcome. Or otherwise, David, we move on. Thank you very much.